I'm having this problem. Okay, so now we are getting better, and then hopefully this week the lockdown may be relaxed in Delhi. That will be good. We had a regional meeting in the first week, which was a great success, and the virtual meeting is on our YouTube and also on the Globe website. And kindly, if you are interested, you can look into this. Today, we are very lucky to have a team of experts, scientists, country coordinators, regional coordinator from the European region, and also country coordinator from Italy, experts from Australia, and the team implementing microplastic project in the ocean water. In fact, at the regional meeting, we discussed this issue, and then a lot of people showed interest to implement this project because many of the countries in our region, they are island countries, except two countries, Nepal and Mongolia. All countries, either they have a big ocean like India, and many of the countries are island countries like Micronesia, Marshall Island, Palau, New Zealand, Australia, then Fiji, Sri Lanka, Thailand, having a big ocean line, Vietnam, Japan, India, so many countries, Sri Lanka. So we have island countries and also Philippines. We have many countries which are island countries. And the coordinator from Philippines, I think, can you send message to Rob? And then he said that the Bay of Manila is all full with microplastic. The Bay of South China Sea is all full with microplastic, like a Bay of Bengal, Arabian Sea, many of these issues which we have this issue becoming very prominent and very strong, that this microplastic is really concern to us. And then today we are lucky to have experts, those who have been implementing this project in different part of the globe, and to help us to see that how we can implement and start the project in our region. So I hand over to Dana to coordinate this session with the microplastic. After they finish, then we will have a chat within our region. So I hand over to you guys. We're going to start.
Yeah. So is it me to start or?
Yeah, your team.
Yeah, okay. So good morning, everybody. I'm really happy that we meet together within two regions, and also our experts from Australian University. And yeah, I'd like to tell a few words about how we start with the region Europe and Eurasia. So we started this cooperation on microplastics. I think it's 2.5 years ago, when we organized regional meeting together with the Globe Italy team in Italy, in Trieste. And then we usually have such part of this regional meeting is a marketplace where teachers and country coordinators can show their good practice and introduce also new protocols. And here we saw for the first time, we saw this protocol or this project, and Sandro and his team, they showed us also the equipment and how it works. And teachers and country coordinators, they were really very, very interested in this because it was not difficult. And the topic is really very important for our nature, for all of us. And it's not only about the water in the sea, but also about water in rivers around us. So it's important for everybody. So then we were thinking about it, but then last year, when we started to, because it was also lockdown in our region, or it's still, and we had an opportunity to meet face to face, but we met online, and this protocol was again highlighted, and the teachers and country coordinators were still very interested. And so the expert team was introduced to us, and we started the cooperation. And it's really very, very nice cooperation. We help with the preparation of registration for people, for country coordinators and teachers who are interested in this. We help with the timing of webinars, with the organization things, because we know the region, so what fits well to teachers, in which time we can organize webinars and so on. And it's a really nice cooperation with this, with our Australian or not, friends in Australia, Deakin University, and with Globe Italy. So it's we try as much as we can to promote this important protocol. And you know, it's not a Globe protocol, but we can connect it, we can link it very well to the water, to the hydrosphere protocols, because when we do investigation of our water, we can also take sample and do investigation of this microplastic. And now the situation is that it was very difficult for teachers to go outside during spring. But still, some of them, they did the first investigations, and they are really excited about it. We had such a webinars when we met together with experts, and teachers showed the first examples of their findings. And so it's very helpful, the support from the university. And we know that the teachers, they want to continue in the autumn, because they hadn't enough possibility to do it now. So they really want to continue in the autumn, and believe that it will be possible to be outside more with students. And what we think is very important, the cooperation also with country coordinators, because country coordinators can be a great supporter of teachers in their countries. From our experience, they can invite or involve local scientists also to these investigations, and the local scientists are interested. They can help with their native language more. They can organize also online meetings within the country, where teachers can also share their experiences, and it's very helpful. It was done last week in the Czech Republic, for example. And they can connect it with the hydrosphere protocols. What else? They can help with the equipment, because sometimes it's quite helpful to show where you can obtain the equipment, or how can you make it yourself. So the role of country coordinators are really helpful and supportive as it is with the Globe program. So it is the same, and we are very thankful that country coordinators work on this, and they are also very interested. So it's such a situation in Europe and Eurasia. I'm not sure now how many, maybe Alessandra, you will know it better, how many countries. But I think about 15 countries participate. It's quite a lot of countries, and they really do very well.
We're swimming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, or so I'm here to answer. Or Sandra, do you want to add something about our start of cooperation and how it is going now?
Yeah, thank you, Dana. Thank you, Dash.
Let me just introduce one. We have also Victoria now from New Zealand. Welcome, Victoria, and also from Vietnam, from Taiwan, from Sri Lanka, from India, and one more. We have 6 countries. Thailand today may not join because today is Buddha Purnima, which is the biggest Buddhist festival for them. Okay, please, to you, go back.
Thank you, Dash, for your nice and complex presentation, and thank you, Dana, because you really supported the project and you were a key person for the developing the project, the dissemination of the project in Europe. Thank you to you all to having accepted to take part in this meeting because it's for us it's a very interesting extension. Dash and Dana said that this is not a global protocol. This is really not a global protocol, but it wants to become a global protocol through a research path together with teachers. Let me present, introduce ourselves. I mean Lorella Rigonat, the lady you see. She is a country coordinator for Italy, together with me. And you see Alessandra and Stuart. Alessandra is associate professor at the Institute for Frontier Materials at the University of Deakin in Geelong, Victoria, Australia, and Stuart Robottom. Stuart is together with Alessandra, is an environmental engineer at the same university. So they developed the protocol, which was experimented for 2 years, as Dana said, and it was tested before being proposed to schools and teachers. Now we see that a lot of teachers have difficulties, but many of them started with a project in Italy and Europe, and we are collecting their proposal and modifying the protocol, which is really a product of research. It must be a product of research, which will be perfected in time together with the help of students and teachers. We are receiving from them many suggestions, and through it, we can modify and make the protocol more efficient in the future. Well, the protocol will be presented in July at the World Conference of Globe in the STEM session. So we'll have the occasion to present what we have prepared and what we'll do. I think that time to give Alessandra and Stuart the word, the possibility to present this protocol, if any of you have some questions. Okay, Alan, too.
Hi, everyone. Lovely to meet you all. It's great to see you giving your time and taking this time to spend some time with us and understand what we have been doing and what we propose to do on suggestion from Desh. So thank you, Desh, for having us today. I just wanted to introduce quickly Dr. Amol Patil, who is a key team member of our group, our research group at Deakin University. Amol, if you can unmute and wave.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thanks for inviting me here, Alessandra.
Amol is a key part of our research team. We've worked together on aspects of this, such as working on microscopy, and we'll continue to work together. As mentioned, this is a research path. We're just going to run you through a few suggestions and what might help you in understanding what we propose to do, but do feel free to interrupt us or just to ask questions at the end. Just PowerPoint is not working. There we go.
We have initiated this protocol because the challenge of microplastics is something that is increasingly recognized around the world. This is a relatively new pollutant that we as the community have to face and have to understand before communities can really manage the problem. What we hope to look at is monitoring at the global scale, but with a consistent level of scientific rigour. This is something that, when we look at the evidence, it is something that can be improved. And that's where this protocol comes into being. It aims to maintain some scientific rigour, but use a simple approach, and in line with some of the key globe priorities, use accessible tools. And then further in line with globe, what we hope to do from this point, and which we have done with our European partners, thanks to Dana and her team, what we would like to do is to test and refine a protocol, which will in turn provide a snapshot of all surface waters and the microplastics within. While we're doing this, we hope to increase the community awareness of microplastics, but do this with a real focus on the local communities. So it's not just data from anywhere in the world. We will include and present data from local areas. We hope to then in turn generate new projects and build additional collaborations. And this is already a success in Europe. And then what we would like to do at the end is submit this protocol to Globe so it can be evaluated as a formal new protocol.
Basically, the trial we have run in Europe and Eurasia, and we propose to run with you, is a test, is part of the research journey, as we were saying before. We want to test the protocol, so have schools that test a draft set of instructions, collect data, and as part of the process, adjust what training we provide to schools and to teachers, and adjust the protocol if there are better ways to do certain aspects. The schools that we target, aspirationally, all schools. We actually had kindergartens approach us for being part of the trial. But at the moment, for this trial, the largest majority is intermediate and high schools. All schools from all countries are welcome to participate. The only requirement is that you can collect water. We have an awareness that the problem of microplastics is very large in the oceans and the seas of the world, but our protocol needs to be tested in as many different water bodies as possible to become sufficiently road tested to be submitted to Globe for evaluation. We're happy to support all schools that will come into the program. In Europe, we have received interest from over 100 participants, each with their own school. We have no limits. Training is done online, which is fantastic, which means we can reach everyone and anyone, and also record, such as we're doing today. But we can provide some higher level support to maybe a limited number of schools, and we will take your feedback on this point. And with these schools, we're happy to meet one-on-one and evaluate their microplastics identification protocols, or help them develop techniques a little further. Of course, we are aware of major limitations in this space. We were all hoping that COVID-19 will be over with 2020, but it was not to be. We understand that the COVID-19 pandemic is ongoing and likely to affect all of you. And this has also affected the supply chain. So we are really aware that this is a long-term project. We'd like to start now or as soon as possible, but we are aware that we might need to grandfather the project for a bit longer.
So far, this project has had some initial trials in both Italy and in Australia, and these trials commenced during 2019 and continued through 2020. And then in Europe, there were some ongoing trials through the European Spring, with briefings for country coordinators and their deputies, for expressions of interest and teacher training. And then really something that was very exciting was a number of schools were able to undertake their own trials. And now what we hope to do is we have begun a review process, and we hope to continue the review process based on the activities that have been undertaken already in Europe and which will be undertaken once their school year resumes later in 2021. Within the Asia Pacific, what we propose is to undertake some briefings with country coordinators and the deputies, and to develop and discuss a timeline for how we might implement some trials during this year. We could look at some expressions of interest during the middle of this year, and some teacher training opportunities from midway through this year, so that your schools can maybe undertake some trials late in 2021 and into the following year, for then a review of the engagement and implementation early next year.
Today we're trying to answer what we expect to be your questions. What is the protocol? When can we start? What do I need? And what does it all entail, including can we get help during the process? The protocol, as we mentioned, is designed to be malleable according to the feedback, but in particular, it's designed to be okay with all surface waters in line with globe hydro protocols. It aims to minimize the type of tools that are required, because we believe that that is a major barrier. The requirement for very high-end equipment is a real barrier to being able to understand the world of microplastics globally. The tools will be quite common in schools. Some schools might have better tools than others. Some might have never seen these tools, but we will try to guide the teachers and yourselves as to what is the best choice for the protocol. And with that, we'll share materials that we have developed for training. As we mentioned, we ran this on all types of surface waters in 2019 and 2020 and expanded to Europe-Eurasia. As you can see, the masks give a clear date for these photos. These are recent photos that come from a bunch of schools that have been able to either take a reduced number of students on the field or went themselves on the field as teachers to prepare the samples and share live. As you can see, there's all types of different settings that have been trialed, but the feedback in general is hugely positive. The students are very involved in trying to understand what they're sampling and find the process quite simple, but also an opportunity to challenge their own understanding of water bodies.
Along with the other materials that have been developed, this protocol package will come with some example protocol details, some field guides and other information which can help guide some schools and their teachers in how to undertake some of the details. These are elements which are very much baseline documents and which can be adjusted to be suited to the area that you would like to sample in, and also recognise the equipment that you might have available. As an example, in the next slide, we can see that some schools have been able to undertake some analysis while out in the field, as well as sampling, which really helps to broaden awareness of the activities and demonstrate that it can be undertaken in quite a broad range of settings. It is not simply a laboratory-based activity. On the right, you can see some examples of the equipment that might be necessary for sampling, including some bottles, filter paper, a filtering unit, and then some syringes and other items that might be suggested to demonstrate other scientific or STEM concepts while also improving the speed at which samples can be, water samples can be processed through the filter.
The protocol is designed to be simple, as we mentioned, but rigorous in the way we handle materials and samples, such as a typical globe hydrosphere protocol. It involves very simple steps: collect a sample in a clean bottle, take note of where the sample is taken from, temperature, pH, and aspects, as you would for a globe hydrosphere site definition sheet. Once you have the sample, you simply need to filter it in a particular way, and then you can look at the sample immediately or after a period of time under a microscope. This protocol relies solely on the morphological and color information that we can derive under an optical microscope. We found that this is sufficient to identify larger bits of plastic, as well as the smaller particles that very often would escape traditional microplastic sampling processes. Once we have collected the data, and we'll show you what we mean by that, we can allow the students to do statistical analysis on their finding. And this is where this protocol is designed to bring in awareness to STEM subjects, as Stuart was just mentioning, such that it can be spread throughout the curriculum. The sampling approach: take a bottle, make sure that the bottle enters a body of water, is really, really simple and can be deployed in all types of waters: rivers, lakes, the sea, and anywhere you can reach on foot or maybe with other ways. The filtration, as we were showing you earlier, can also be done everywhere. Sure, you might want to do it in a laboratory, and that is technically faster, but it might be an activity that you can put together with your field activities on a globe sampling day. The observation of the samples, again, can be done on the field if you're well equipped. Otherwise, you can prepare a sample, and once it's filtered, you can go back to it and look at it under a microscope in your laboratories. And of course, do statistical analysis. An example of the data sheet that we would provide the schools with is here on the screen. As you can see, we list a few of the aspects that the schools need to take note of. And we provide them with a table that contains drop-down menus. These drop-down menus allow students to identify what they saw, what was the geometry of the object that they wish to report, what color was it, and how did it look. The fact that these are drop-down menus will allow us to process the data much faster at the other end. We will ask to report the following items: bits that you recognize unequivocally as plastic, natural fibers, so cellulose or cotton or wool fibers that might be in the water, or animal hair-based fibers, synthetic fibers, if you are able to clearly identify a fiber as a synthetic fiber, and objects that are suspects, but you're not quite sure about, and you would like to count as unknown particles that might be plastics. The benefits we've seen from the trials so far is that everyone's reported how the protocol is accessible. And accessibility also involves the use of no chemicals in the process. Many of the very high analytical quality protocols that you will find in the literature remove the organic component from the samples, but we understand that this would constitute a further barrier to implementation of such a protocol by schools. In the end, there's an added bonus here because the students get to see biological shapes along with plastics. And this snapshot is really powerful when you're seeing that there might be one object, multicellular object, like in this case, with a big microfiber that is synthetic. So it's a really powerful reminder of how much plastic is out there.
What we've been able to do with our European partners and what we can offer here is to provide some support for the schools and the regions that would like to participate. Within that, there can be some protocol files and data sheets, and that will help to standardise the activities and then the records as part of the research element. Also, we can provide a recommended or suggested list of materials for sampling and for analysis. We can share quite a large online database of reference images which have been gathered through the period 2019 to now. And we also have a data and image collection server. We can offer 2 teacher training webinars of about an hour and a half each, and also some check-in sessions either with schools or with groups of teachers as part of the trial. And this has been something that the European schools have taken up and taken advantage of on several occasions, including with their students participating directly to report back what they've achieved together, or to ask questions and work out solutions to undertake the activity in the protocol despite the challenges of COVID. As part of that ongoing support, there is an email address, microplastics.protocol@gmail.com, and that is the primary method of communication. Within the package of training and images for training, we have some background information, including methodologies. Part of that is video tutorials, which you can watch and observe and learn from, and maybe work out how to modify or apply in your local area. The image database is developed and shared so that your students and yourselves might learn how to recognise items and broadly classify them as microplastics, naturally occurring fibres, etc. And this is important because many students actively seek microplastics and might be disappointed if they don't find any. That's a part of any sampling project. There's also information about data handling and sharing. Our image database includes fresh and saltwater images with biological and natural debris, as well as a collection of images of plastics, of fibres, and a growing number of unknown or items which are difficult to classify. Here is an example, a very small sample of some of the images that we have to identify some common features that students and teachers have found useful to help identify microplastics.
While these images are taken with a different microscope than the students might use, it's very hard to have the same microscope for everyone. These are meant to give guidance. So these are examples of plastics that we relate to coatings, for instance, that might have come off. Here's some examples of cellulose-based fibers, a characteristic shape of a ribbon that could be kinked, as well as objects that many students would identify as plastics, but are actually naturally occurring particles in the environment. And these, all these objects, all these categories are clearly labeled and separated such that you can pick and choose whichever ones you use for training or run tests with your students. We have found this helpful because visual observation of items is critical to train the brain to recognize similar shapes under a microscope. And while some of the schools might be able to take images on their microscopes, many other schools might just rely on people's eyes to recognize an object as a synthetic fiber or natural-based fibers or a piece of plastic. So this is the aim of the database. It is the only database in the world that has this capacity, and it's freely available. And this is where we ask for your help, and we will welcome your questions in a moment. We have seen that in Europe, this approach has worked well, as Dana has mentioned. We ask for your feedback as to what do you think, whether this is worth implementing or not in your countries, whether you would be keen to support your schools through this process. We would give you an expression of interest form that outlines pretty much what you saw today in a much more succinct form. And we'd ask you to please send a reminder to the schools towards the deadline of the expression of interest. Once we have collected all the expressions of interest, we will send links to the webinars and training materials to the schools and teachers who have expressed interest. You're most welcome to participate in the webinars. We have found, in fact, that the country coordinators that have participated in the webinars have done two things. One, being able to support their schools a lot better than otherwise, but also run the protocol themselves and give us some suggestions. As Dana mentioned, the country coordinator's role is critical in the successful deployment of this trial, which is a research project we highlight. And it's important that you coordinate feedback back to the team, because very often teachers in your country will come to you, not to us, to provide feedback. We also saw that some country coordinators facilitated the swap of materials between schools, meaning that maybe only 2 schools needed to buy equipment, and this equipment could be shared across a network, which we thought was really powerful. When do we propose we run this? Well, this is something we can discuss together. We know that every country has a different school year process, but just keep in mind that the training will involve video tutorials that can be looked at any point, 2 key Zoom training sessions. And we have found that sometimes teachers want a bit of time before they start with their students to just check their knowledge with us. What we're going to do is then do the training, but also do some field testing, your own field testing with your schools. We'll provide you with support in the form of email exchange or also Zoom meetings, as mentioned before. Just reiterating a final few points.
Yes, one of the things that we want to point out, this is not yet an official GLOBE protocol, but we do ask that you consider whether it can be something that you participate in and encourage your schools to participate in, because it does align closely with GLOBE's objectives in a range of areas. We hope that GLOBE schools might be given priority in participation. And in fact, what we have done, we have been contacted by other schools, non-GLOBE schools, and we've recommended they become a GLOBE school before they agree to participate in the protocol trial. We also agree that the materials that are developed and provided by all participants will be shared under a Creative Commons license agreement, which is a non-commercial agreement. And we agree that the materials will not we agree that the materials will not be distributed outside the trial participants. This will build into something that is of good scientific value for GLOBE and the community. And so we believe that the participants should benefit from their effort and collaboration. And all information and community engagement, science fair activities and outcomes can be shared with the team. Some schools and the teachers have used this as a catalyst for broader community interaction, engagement, information exchange, and also participation with other similar community environmental bodies. And we hope that you can foster and grow new relationships for your schools in their host communities. Again, part of the GLOBE priorities.
This here is just the starting list of collaborations. Unfortunately, we cannot fit everyone on, but the GLOBE Europe-EURASIA trial has yielded many collaborations and side projects, including the building of robots that can automatically sample in specific locations in oceans or lakes, all sorts of videos that students have put together with their teachers, and the list is ongoing. So we hope to be able to grow this list much more with your help. We'll leave you with a common email address that you can reach us through. It's really simple. It's microplastics.protocol@gmail.com, or you can reach us with our individual email addresses. We thank you for your time, and we're here to answer your questions if you have any.
Okay, thank you very much. This is wonderful. And I will request, if you have any question, may I request each country coordinator to ask, speak specific if they have in mind. May I request Victoria from New Zealand to speak? Victoria? Victoria, she's there. Okay, if the Victoria is not ready, I start with the Rod from Philippines.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon from the Philippines. We are very excited and very much interested in adopting microplastics as one of the possible protocols under the GLOBE program. But I have a few questions, more of challenges involving microplastics, and I'm happy to say that we are in the same page on how important microplastic is as a topic of research. So my first challenge is, how do you really know what to look for? I'm saying in a body of water, there are many floating debris, or how would you be able to distinguish plastics from other materials? Second, what measurement units are we going to make use of? Parts per million? How do we measure density, for example? So I believe for us to start, and we are very excited, willing to start this trial program, do you have a sample observation that we can look into and maybe pattern ourselves from with that sample data collection? Thank you.
Thank you, Rod. Excellent questions indeed, and we can see you have come very prepared on the topic. Now, you have excellent questions that the scientific community is still debating. There are many highly analytical techniques which involve taking a sample that might have been filtered through what is known as a manta net, or a large, really long net that is dragged on the surface of the ocean, typically through particular vessels. That allows you to gather a sample that might be significant on the larger scale, but these techniques are not deployable at the school level. There are also techniques that take a lot of debris, so waters with a lot of biological or organic debris, or naturally occurring debris, and decide to digest that debris through quite complex methods that are okay if you then need to just identify plastics with great certainty that there's no organic material identified. But again, these are not easily deployed with schools. If we look at any of these protocols that are available in the literature, they all have limitations. So the manta net approaches use very large nets that have a mesh size of 300 microns. And when we look at the objects that we have found, they are rarely above 100 microns. So the most often objects that the NOAA equivalent approaches or the EPA type approaches would not highlight and not find. And this is quite common. Now, if we look at our method, yes, we have limitations in that, yes, it's very easy to identify things that have color and that look plasticky, but we are going to miss some particles. We are not going to be able to see some other particles. And that's okay, because if we have any doubts, we will highlight them as unknowns. And this is what we do in our research every day. Sometimes you have high certainty of your data. Sometimes you have a larger uncertainty bar, so a larger error. We believe, though, that through sampling over and over again and a consistent number of samples, then we will get that precision through number of samples. And that is also a typical statistical approach that is used in our field. Coming to the units need to be simple for students that are intermediate school or high school level. And what we ask them to do is to count how many particles of a particular type are in their sample. And their sample being 500 milliliters allows them to multiply to get the number of particles in cubic meters. The error in doing that is very large, we understand, but nevertheless provides a snapshot for that point in time and in space. Did I add anything?
I think your questions are ones which are really quite valid, and I suppose it really goes to the point of what we hope this protocol will balance. We hope to have a balance between academic and scientific rigour, and we have to acknowledge that even the NOAA and the internationally accepted measures are already, they have some inherent shortcomings because of the size and scale of the ocean versus the samples that we can take and the nets that are used. So that's one thing. But this one, we hope, balances the need for scientific rigour against accessibility and applicability within your students' areas. So if there is the ability for schools to sample a water body which is important to their community, that helps that school and the community to understand microplastics in a local context, and they can understand that they themselves interact with the environment and have an impact on the environment, on the local hydrosphere. It might be the ocean or the lake or a river. That's not important. So we want to achieve two things. One, build a body of knowledge, but also promote awareness of microplastics and the growing challenge that they will present to our people in the future.
I just add one thing, Rod, given I expect this question to come from you next. How do we manage contamination? Contamination is another major concern in the Europe-EURASIA trial. Many teachers are really aware of the potential to contaminate their samples because they might be aware of biometrics. So they already do sampling with controls in contamination. But what we ask teachers to do is actually to train their students in preparing what we call blanks or control samples to understand what level of contamination they themselves might bring into the samples. Overall, in the trials that we have seen so far, we have not yet found a sample where no fibers were encountered or no pieces of colored plastics. So that is not good from an environmental perspective, but it gives us the certainty that you're going to find something and your students are going to be able to identify some things.
Great. Damayanti from Sri Lanka, she has left because today's Buddha's Nirvana Day, and that is why Thailand people, they have not joined. Mostly Buddhist, they have not joined today. And in our region, many countries are Buddhist countries. Now, Yogenda from Nepal, like to say something? Yogenda?
Yes, Dr. Des, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, but you have a river there, which can
Yes,
be used for this protocol. Very important. Bhagmati. Okay, thank you, Yogenda. Then maybe from Chiu from Vietnam. Fine. Chiu. Chiu, you are there?
Yes, Dr. S, I'm
Okay,
here.
please. Yes.
Thank you.
Open your
Thank
camera.
you very much, Alexander
Open
and
your camera.
Stuart.
Open your camera.
Oh, sorry, I cannot do that. The
Okay.
camera is, sorry. But first thing that I would like to thank Alessandra and Stuart for your presentations. I am very interested in the potential protocol. And I have already in mind which school is gonna be the school to join this trial. But I just wonder, is it mandatory for that school to be to join the trial if they are not globe school yet?
We would be guided by your views. We have participated with Globe schools so far, but one thing that this might be useful for is to increase the uptake by schools of Globe membership. So if that school could be introduced to Globe through participation in this protocol, then I think that would be a good outcome for us all.
Yeah, also we do refer to Globe documents a lot. So site definition sheets or procedures that a Globe teacher would be familiar with. So it gives them some extra rigor, and I think it would help you greatly if you were seeking funding for Globe in your country to show that you've been able to bring new schools up to the Globe. Into the Globe community, but it is a decision for you and for Desh to discuss together, I guess.
Thank you very much. I have no further questions, and I wish you will receive the approval from Globe International Office soon to have this one as a official protocol in the near future. Thank you.
Not us. We all together.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Okay, now can I request you, Victoria from New Zealand?
I can't really
Victoria.
say anything, Desh, if you can hear me, because I'm driving home at the moment, and I've got two kids in the car. But this is a great initiative. I'm not sure how New Zealand can participate yet, but I think this is a wonderful protocol and trial to come into the Globe family.
Thanks, Victoria.
Okay.
Looking forward to discuss with you further.
Okay, Victoria, thank you very much. I see Victoria always smiling. Very lucky, no corona in her country. I wish the same situation in India. Thank you, Victoria. And now I have this Taiwan. Who is from Taiwan? I think whole team is here. Taiwan. I say Gary.
Hi. Hi. Yes, Dash. I'm Tina.
Tina, yes. Tina, where is your camera?
Yeah, I just want to thank for the your sharing. I mean the microplastic training sharing. I think it's a very critical issue and also an interdisciplinary topic. That's great. So I just wonder that how do you encourage your teachers, or how do you invite your teacher to join this protocol? How do you encourage them and how do you train them? And did you align your nation educational policy at the same time?
Excellent questions. Maybe I can get Sandro or Lorella to answer that, as they are country coordinators like yourself. We are just not country coordinators. Sandro, you're on mute.
Yeah, I think it's we made a little effort to encourage teachers because the subject is so interesting that is new, that they are really captured by the new idea. The project is so easy to manage that are they are really encouraged to accept it and to introduce it according to the globe protocols, because it's very accessible. So really, we send an invitation to all the organization in Italy and to the ministry too. Is not a part of the curricula, but we hope that it will be part of the curricula together with the globe protocols, as Croatia did. So we really did a great efforts to encourage them. They were really attracted by the possibility to investigate a new area. This is an area where you can improve the skills for mathematics, geography, microscopy, biology, and so on, and put all of them together. So it's an multidisciplinary activity if you join naturalistic and scientific, chemical, physics, and so on. So it's very attractive, the project. And I think that if you present the project, they will be really interested in it. Maybe Rosella, maybe Lorella want to add something, or Dana too.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think our country coordinators, they sent information to teachers and invite them. I think it was such a webinar to introduce only the protocols and the project, and then it was up to teachers if they want to join in. Yeah, and they can use it together with the hydrosphere protocols. So it depends on each curriculum. If globe hydrosphere protocols are within their curriculum, they can also add this one protocol, and it's I think very nice work to do.
Sorry, I would like to add something else, something more, because when you start a project, the preoccupation of teachers is to be assisted or not, because they find many obstacles, some obstacles during the development of the project. But in this case, they are very assisted. And I think this is a guarantee for the developing the project in the schools. And the assistants can reach a meeting between experts and teachers, and experts and students. And this is a great value of the project, because they can learn together, and the experts can learn by students and teachers, because they are giving many ideas to simplify or to getting better the project. And this is, I think, a great value. This project has been designed according with the GLOBE protocol. GLOBE has a fantastic number of protocols, and it was designed according to the GLOBE protocols to become a GLOBE protocol. And if you see a GLOBE gave a great assistance, and all the methodology of GLOBE are included here, together with a number of images, possibility to share information between the students and teachers with the schools from different countries and so on. This is a guarantee, and I think this is an attractive point for schools, teachers, and students.
Okay, I think that point is well taken care, and we will discuss this and then with wider. Today we have only 8 country coordinators. We will discuss with others also, and certainly this project is helpful to us developing inter-regional cooperation between Asia Pacific region and European region. I would like to request Dr. R.K. Garg, Sonal Hina from India to say a few words. Like in Udaipur is a city of lakes, which is having a lot of plastic disposal in the lakes, and that could be a good site for such a project. And in Delhi, we have River Yamuna, which is highly polluted, a lot of plastic, polythene bags going into the river, and such a project could be very useful and will be of interesting to the school, to the students, and to the community. And may I request Dr. Garg to share your thoughts if you have any?
Yes, I feel that the lakes, inland lakes and the freshwater lakes all over the world, including India, they are very important and we have to take care of their health. So students along with their teachers can start a preliminary observations on these protocols, that is microplastic, and then can share their view, their data with the globe community. And if they find any difficulty, we can contact our Italy people who will help us, and we can generate some very good community this understanding. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you
So
for
now you
that.
want to say anything?
Yeah, yeah. Hi, hello everyone. This is a wonderful project and I'm really looking forward. I have a question to ask. It's about the sampling. You do sampling in a particular depth or at the bank or at the shore, or is there any particular specified depth you are like for the sampling of the water for microplastic?
Location of the sampling, she's asking.
Yeah.
We have seen this protocol successfully tried by students and by teachers at the surface, but as a standard we recommend about 20 centimeters under the surface, but it's not, we haven't looked at the depths because there might be some shallow rivers or streams that are important to your schools or your students, and we don't want to rule out any important water bodies. So this is we've aimed it at what we call the surface waters. So in the top 20 centimeters of your water body, but it can be fresh or marine, it can be ocean or beach or river, whichever is important to you.
For the sampling, we have shown you a couple of images of people reaching 3-4 meters using a telescopic rod that they made themselves. But we went snorkeling with a bottle to take a sample. So really, it depends on what matters to you, where you're going to sample.
We can just share the monitor again, and you should be able to see, it's not letting me close. Here there is a sampling of a lake or a river using an extendable pole, and here again someone is using a pole so that they can safely obtain surface water samples from the lake without getting wet. That's a big thing. We don't want people getting wet.
Thank you very much.
Hina, you have any question to ask? Hina? Hina? Is Hina around? Hina?
She's on mute.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. Thank you, Alessandra and Stuart, for the presentation. I think it's wonderful. As the representative from the Regional Coordination Office in Asia Pacific, we would very much like to coordinate all the help we can get for you guys to up and get this running. In fact, we have schools in India itself, those who are working on microplastic, not on GLOBE project, specifically on microplastic. And unfortunately, they are not in this presentation today. So we'll pass on that information to them as well. So if we can contact you guys with them, it will be helpful, I think, because we also in India have a major issue of microplastic. All the beaches are filled with plastic and everything. So I think that this particular protocol is very helpful. I have just one question. You said that school have to have a globe schools. Do you want teachers to have a specific training under any globe protocol to have this, to have come to this protocol, or is just a guidelines? Because if it's a globe teacher, they know how to sample a site, how to, is that it?
The evidence that we have from the European region is that the schools that are already involved in GLOBE have slightly more confidence and possibly competence in following a standard protocol of this nature. They can understand also how to make some minor local modifications so that they achieve the objective in their local environment. So it is something where we do hope that it will give students some knowledge of microplastics, but we also hope that the sampling and analysis is consistent enough that the data that is generated can all be included as part of the whole. So we would suggest GLOBE membership does lead to better outcomes.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe, yeah, hydrology site definition sheets are used. So hydrosphere awareness of the hydrosphere protocols can help.
Okay. So, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Any more question? Any more question from any other participant? Please do not hesitate to ask your questions, because this is a very interesting project for which we will be very interested to work and cooperate. Even in Delhi, I can see River Yamuna is a good example of to implement such a project, which is highly polluted, a lot of plastic bags going. I don't know how many tons of plastic bags goes every year in River Yamuna, and this is something which can be very useful project and should be implemented. And I am sure like Pulara, who is in Telangana, having lakes in Hyderabad, can be the sites for implementing such a project. Now my last question, who is going to take the picture? Because our official photographer, Nishi, she is not here. Joanne said she cannot take because she is not using laptop at the moment. Who is going to take the picture for all the participants?
I'm trying to. If anybody can open their cameras and give us a picture.
Everyone open the camera.
If you're comfortable.
Please open your camera.
Lorella is on the car. She's going to school.
Smile. And
you drive, Lorella. You drive.
Okay. So yes. 3, 2, 1, go.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. I think I've got it.
Okay. Okay, that is great. And one thing I would like to mention here. This project could be, who is this? Who are doing this mischief? Pulara, who is that? Okay. This project could be the one which could be the cooperation between AP region and the European region, and also some of the country in our region and Italy, like and this will be a very interesting project for us. Certainly, we would like to discuss again in our meeting, and also we would like to be the part of this project. And I think this is very interesting and useful, not only for us, for it is good for the environment. And as I mentioned, the river Yamuna may have tons of microplastic, as it has a lot of plastic, microplastic. And then any more question, any more comments from our guests, or any
I
thing
think we have a comment to make, Desh.
Yes.
We have seen a lot of different water bodies sampled in Europe, but every water body might require us to challenge what we recommend. So it's really important that we look at really clean water bodies, but also quite polluted water bodies, because if we want this protocol to work for every one of us, we really need to do a stress test of it. So test it in waters that don't have too much debris, but also we're happy to work with you to make sure that the protocol works for waters that are highly polluted or have a lot of debris in them. So don't be put off if the water bodies that you're thinking about are very dirty. That's fine. We need to make sure that what we do works for those water bodies as well.
Okay, if you want to see very highly polluted water body, I can show you River Yamuna in Delhi. No problem.
Perfect.
If you want to see clean water body, I can give you a bottle of Bisleri where you can take water out of the Bisleri bottle.
Fantastic. Perfect, Besh.
Yeah, we have very few clean water bodies, and then maybe for which we have to go to the mountains, to the Himalayas, and hopefully Yoginder is here. Yoginder, Lake Pokhara in Nepal, which is a very beautiful water body. Yoginder, you are there or left? I don't know. Because today is like Buddha Nirvana day, and a lot of Buddhists, they worship and go to the Buddhist temples, which we never realized before. For in Corona time, every day is a holiday. So we are meeting, just I like to mention that we are meeting on 7th of June for a webinar, and we will briefly discuss about this project also. The topic is air quality awareness. Like usually we try to do 2 webinars per month, and then today we had 32 participants in the webinar, which is a low turnout according to our standard. Usually our turnout is more than 50 usually. So today we have a low turnout, and I could follow. This is due to the festival in the region. But on 7th, we will discuss briefly. And after that, if you like, I can send the link to you also, if any one of you want to join. This will be around the same time, because you see, one of our problem is that like in Delhi, we start at 10:30. In New Zealand, it may be 4 o'clock evening. Fiji, maybe 5 o'clock. In Micronesia, or in Marshall Island, in Japan, we have all different time zones, many different time zones. And we have made a compromise that 1 o'clock Manila time is good for us. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Have a nice day. Have Corona-free time. Have safe. Enjoy your healthy, and then.
Nice to meet you, everyone. Thank you for your time today. Contact us if you
Thank
would
you,
like
Dash.
to talk further.
Thank you,
And
Dana.
take it that we are interested.
Thank you very much to you all. Thank you.
We are interested in this project. Okay.
Thank you. Ciao, Lorella.
Thank you,
Okay,
Dash.
Bana.
Have a good trip.
Bye.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
trip.
Bye bye.
Say hello to Bara also.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.